Good evening. It is now time to call the All Good Council meeting to order. As we do, we would like to start the meeting with our invocation and pledge. And I have asked Mr. Bill Matheny if he will lead us in the invocation, and I've asked Director Phipps if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'll ask you all to please stand now. Call.
Honorable Councilman Bilbrey.
Here.
Honorable Councilman Williams. Honorable Councilwoman Hawkins.
Here.
Honorable Vice Mayor Hill.
Present.
Our next item is to consider our agenda and the minutes. Those have been provided to us in advance of the meeting. I'd ask that you now look over the minutes, and if there are any changes or additions, deletions, you let me know, as well as consideration of the agenda tonight.
All looks good. I'll make the joint motion to approve the agenda and the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bilbrey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Let's move on then to our old business, which we don't have any, so we'll go right into new business. And you'll just have to bear with us tonight. We have a lot of ordinances and resolutions to go through, so it's quite lengthy and it's not the most exciting, so bear with us. We ask that we consider approval to suspend the reading of Resolution 375-26, 376-26, Ordinance 728-26, 729-26, 730-26, 731-26, 732-26, 733-26, and finally 734-26. We are going to discuss each one of these as they come up on the agenda, but this is just to suspend the reading of all of those all at one time here in the beginning. I would consider a motion to approve suspending all of the above.
I make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bilbrey. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Ms. Hawkins. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Number 4 is consider approval of Resolution 375-26, which is concerning a cybersecurity grant with Public Entity Partners, and it's sponsored by our city administrator, so I'll let him speak to that.
So PE Partners is our insurance provider. This do different grants throughout the year. This cybersecurity grant, some computer systems. We have security softwares online backup, security checks, and so this will cover $500 expense, and we'll get $250 back. We've been pre-approved for this, so I just need the resolution to receive that $250 reimbursement from our insurance carrier.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 375-26 to receive the cybersecurity grant from PE Partners. Is there a second?
Yep.
Ms. Hawkins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, consider approval of Resolution 376-26 to apply to TDEC for the CDBG funds. Again, sponsored by Mr. Morrison.
So we've had CDBG. It's been quite a few years ago. It's the Community Development Block Grant. This will be administered through the UCDD to help us maintain the grant funds. There's two options. One is a $1 million grant for construction. The other is a $420,000 grant for equipment. We did hold a live public meeting. Everybody there agreed that we think the park is the best to pursue for this, and in park funds we can get $1 million with a 10% match. So this is the resolution we'll need to further the progress of that. So we have done our public meeting for this. One thing that has been suggested is instead of just 10% match, that we increase that to whatever the council so choose, and that would help us score better in getting the grant. So if you all want to do, instead of 10% at 100,000, if you want to do a higher match, that gives us a better score when we're applying for the grant.
Have we gotten any feedback or spoken with anybody that has tried this that thinks the higher match seems to help?
UCDD said that there were several communities that applied with a higher match and they scored higher, and they felt like that was a positive for their score to receive the funds. So they do think that would be a plus. I know this year we set aside $500,000 for park, the new park. We're currently in negotiations with an architect for design to come back. This won't be, we won't be notified of receipt of this until about Thanksgiving of 26. So it would be in the next fiscal year anyway. So that would be funds that we would need to put in next year's budget, depending on what you all decide to match on this.
Good. So if we budgeted
That's
I mean,
good
is that
with me.
what your question
That's
is?
what I'm asking is do you all want to put $500,000 next year in for this for match so that we further this grant and give ourselves a better chance to get it? So basically you get $1.5 million project for $500,000. At, well, a third of the price.
If we're awarded. And if we're not, we still are spending $500,000, which we're planning on doing anyway.
Right.
Well, excuse me, the resolution doesn't say anything in there about the match. So if we go ahead and approve this, we need to go ahead and add in an amount that we want to do. Okay.
The 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth whereas states that Allgood has agreed to pay the required 10% ability to pay match on the grant amount received, as well as any overages accrued during the project timeline if funded. So I'd like to add in there that we're going to pay the required 10% plus extra.
Okay.
I think this seems to be kind of a no-brainer. I would make the motion to approve the resolution as presented with the edits that Keith just discussed of adding an extra 400,000, which would be 100,000 towards, which is the initial 10% plus 400,000 for to increase the match for a total of 500,000.
$500,000.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Motion has been made to approve Resolution 376-26 to apply for this grant with the required 10% match, which would be $100,000 plus an extra $400,000 for a total of $500,000. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Ms. Hawkins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Item number 6. Consider approval of first reading of ordinance 728-26 adopting the 2024 edition of the International Residential Code. Now, all of these that we're about to consider are on first reading. So they will have to come back and be approved second reading before we can take the final vote, and they will just a public hearing portion. So often, I think it's every 7 years, we're required to update our building codes. And they're, according to the state of Tennessee, the latest one we have is the 2024 edition. And we now need to update our codes to be in sync with what the state requires, and that would be the 2024 edition. So this is the International Residential Code. Mr. Lane's not here, but
not. So
it's pretty simple. It's just we got to have it.
We do. So there's going to be residential code, building code. There's existing building
electric code,
fuel
there's all
gas
kinds.
code, plumbing code, mechanical code. These do have to be within 7 years. This is going to be uniform across the county. The county and all the cities are going to the 2024 edition, so that will get us all uniform together. It is a requirement of the state that we keep within 7 years, so this gets us up and keep us in good shape for several years to come.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve on first reading adopting the 2024 edition of the International Residential Code. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 7, consider approval of first reading of ordinance 729-26, again adopting the 2024 edition of the International Building Code. I'll make a motion that we approve that. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, number 8, consider approval of first reading ordinance 730-26, adopting the 2024 edition of the International Plumbing Code. Somebody else want to do that, or I'll just keep going?
It's working.
It's on a roll. All right. I make the motion that we adopt the 2024 edition of the International Plumbing Code. Do we have a second? Ms. Hawkins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Number 9, consider approval of first reading of ordinance 731-26, adopting the 2024 edition of the International Mechanical Code. Again, I would make a motion that we approve first reading. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 10, Again, consider approval of first reading, ordinance 732-26 for the 2024 edition of the International Fuel Gas Code. I make a motion we approve it. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 11, consider approval of first reading of ordinance 733-26, which is again adopting the 2024 edition of the International Existing Building Code. I make a motion that we approve it on first reading. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 12, consider approval of first reading of ordinance 734-26, which is adopting the 2024 edition of the International Fire Code. I make a motion that we approve this proposed ordinance. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that takes care of ordinances. Now we can consider approval to match up to $12,000 for a grant for the White Plains House. And I know Mr. Morrison's been in contact with the White Plains friends, and they have some ideas about the White Plains House. And if you want to get into that, we welcome it.
Sure. So we had the Friends of White Plains applied for a grant for the house. It did not qualify. That was applied through the city of Allgood. They are now applying for an America 250 grant for $20,000, which is no match to work on the flooring. As you all know, the flooring in the middle room is falling in, and the floor and subfloor joists need work at this time. So they're applying for that grant. There is another historic grant that we have had in the past that we use for roof repair that requires match, and I think it's a 40% match. They're asking for help with that. It is up to $12,000 for that grant. They have up to about $6,000 to match it at this time, and they're asking the city to help them with the match for that. Another option that was presented last month at the work session, and we have reviewed that further, is to turn the house over, in a sense, to the Tennessee Historical Commission as a state historic site. So once the state accepts it as a state historic site, there are two options. One is we donate it to the state, or we sell it to the state at fair market value. If you donate it to the state, it is about a 2-year process. It has to go to the site, and we would have to bring you all an agreement for approval of what the terms of that agreement are. The other option also requires an agreement, but we could sell it for fair market value to the state, which also requires the legislature to approve. And it is a 5-year process because you're asking the state to first buy it. Then we have to determine what the fair market value is, and it has to go back to them for approval, and then they have to do the other things. So either way, if it gets accepted as a state historic site, they will do an evaluation on the house to determine the need and current condition of the house. We know it needs electrical work. We know it needs flooring work. It's going to need roof work. It's about $100,000 worth of things it needs. Windows. Once it's accepted as a state historic site, we are still a partner with the state. The Friends of White Plains would also be a partner, and there would be outlined terms in the agreement of what each's responsibility has. The state will cover between 20 and 60% of the operating costs of a state historic site, which means the city would still do the general operational, utilities, mowing, cleaning, light maintenance would still be on us, but the state would cover somewhere between 20 and 60%. That would be determined in the agreement and upon state legislature approval as a state historic site. If it's accepted as state historic site, and we go that route, Then, with the evaluation, the state would determine what the house needs, and each year when they pass the state budget, they would add the funds in to do what they deem as major repair work, i.e. the floor, electrical, and there would be each year an updated evaluation of the current condition of the house and the future needs of the house that they would use as a guideline to put in the state budget any long-term major repairs. But we would always be a partner for operational and low maintenance items, and we would determine, I guess, what that threshold is when we do the agreement with them. At this point, it becomes a state major repair, and they're 100% responsible. So that's they still, even if you're going to go for the state historic site determination, want us to proceed on with the grants to try to keep getting it repaired so that it's continuing to not be in disrepair. The other option is, as you all have discussed before, we keep it, we pay for the repairs, or we sell it and we no longer own the home. So those are the options at this point.
Okay, question for you on, you said if accepted as a historic home by the state, is that the first step in this is to even, ask them for that assessment as to whether or not they would accept before we make a decision, before you're doing options one and, or the donation of 2 years versus the sale to the state at which takes 5 years? That blows my mind, but
I think the first step would be to make a motion that we want to proceed with consideration for the state historic site, and I think you would have to make the determination if it's a donation or a sale at fair market value before we go present it. I can double check that, but I think that determination needs to be made when we approach the legislature.
that's my question.
Yeah.
Well, didn't I read somewhere in the material that that there would be certain hours that might be required and certain people to man it? And is that going to be
Yes.
Friends of White Plains, or is that something that the city is going to have to provide?
So there would be policies that would have to be met. The Tennessee Historic Commission would require that there's accurate interpretation, that there's signage, that there's displays, educational narratives, that it's prominently displayed that it is a state historic site. So we would have program brochures from the State Historical Commission that would be available at the site, and they would expect it to be open in some manner, shape, or form. And I think we could work that out in the agreement if it's once a month on a Saturday for 4 hours. I know there's one of the state historic sites in Sparta. I think it's the Rock House. It's only open during spring, summer, and fall. It closes in the winter due to weather. And it's open just certain determined hours, and that would be something we would have to spell out in the agreement. Is the Friends Group responsible for maintaining docents and staffing to keep it open, and what those requirements are, and what happens if those requirements aren't being met? So I think all of those things are going to have to be clearly defined and spelled out in the agreement with the estate, as well as if at any point we decide we're no longer interested in that, what happens then. So I think all of those things that are going to have to be very clearly defined in the agreement. And the agreement would have to come back to you all for final approval. It would have to be voted on once that determination's made.
So essentially, this is the state taking ownership of this building and taking responsibility for any repairs.
Major repairs, yes.
Major repairs, and then we would be responsible for a percentage of the operating cost to keep the,
Yes.
mowing the lawn, keeping, we'd be kept up.
Utilities.
The utility. Do you have an estimate of it? I'm guesstimate as to how much an operating cost would be.
Roy, do you have a number anywhere close on that?
It can't be that much.
Right now, it's not in any condition to open.
No.
You can't.
Mm. So if it was turned over to the state historic site, of course, their evaluations are going to determine to be open routinely. Probably that first year, they're going to have to put some money into it. Yeah.
But we don't have a guarantee that they'll accept it, right? I mean, they come and look, and
I'm sure they would want
They
to look at
may,
it in no current condition, and we
yeah.
would explain that to them clearly. So it does have to have state legislature to approve it. So there are a few throughout the state that are that way. There is one in Sparta that is a state historic site. There's not anything in Putnam County, and Sparta is probably the closest one that I can think of. Mm.
So this $12,000 grant that we're talking about in the motion is going to touch what? I mean, you just mentioned that there's $100,000 worth of repairs, $12,000.
First repair is get the floor fixed to where you can at least get in it and try to start doing some kind of fundraising to get funds for the next step, assuming you keep it, or if you go the state historic route.
Well, we're going to have to do that anyway, right? Because it's a 2-year process for either direction. I mean, what's the plan for between now and the state? You know, assuming they take it and let's say you donate it, and it's 2 years down the road, you still have to.
Between now and then, we're going to need to do something, or at this point, we're going to have to keep it closed until we can fix the floor. Once we get the floor fixed, the electrical and some of the other can be prioritized as funding is available. And just try to chip away at it with additional grants. Or the city's going to have to pay to fix it if you don't want to go the state historic route and you want to keep it.
the White Plains folks want to apply for a grant,
Yes.
and they are just asking us to approve a match up to $12,000. And if they had to or needed to, they have some funds to kick
do.
in toward that.
Yes.
Well, until we make a decision more final about what we want to do, I think to allow them to go ahead and apply for the grant would be a good idea. And a $12,000 match is certainly less than what we're used to.
Right.
We're talking about, $500,000 match.
Right.
So.
Are there additional questions or things you all want answered about the state historic site? Or do you want to email me questions that you all want me to get answered?
I guarantee you I'll have some questions. I'll
Okay.
hit you up later between this, but I'll just take this opportunity just to make my general comment. I mean, I think the general, at least for me, we want to keep this building. I don't like your third option of selling it at fair market value to some unknown seller. I mean, it is a historic building. I'd rather, if we can find options to, retain it versus selling it, the risk of somebody, buying it and raising it that's I don't like that idea. So if we can find some if we can get the state to take ownership and be responsible for it and make it great, I think that's the best option. Now, whether we do it through a donation or sell it to them, I'm undecided. I think the sooner the state takes it over, the better. And if that's through donation, then I think that's probably the best course. How much did we buy it for? When did we buy it? And how much did we? I'm putting you on the spot here from a historical recollection standpoint. For some reason, I'm thinking it was like a $250,000 is what the council bought.
I think 2017,
It was
2016,
It was
and
16 or 17. I came on in
we
18.
give $250,000 for it. And there's 2-point-something acres there with the house.
Plus, we already put how much money into it with we did the parking,
The
There's,
gravel, now the dirt fill-in, was free because that saved us from hauling off sewer fill material that we needed to dispose of. So that didn't cost us anything, but we have put money in the roof and we matched that grant. But that's been several years ago, and I want to think that match was somewhere around $15,000 to $20,000. I think it was about a $40-something thousand project to fix the roof. So now the Friends Group has bought materials to fix the ceiling in the 2 rooms that we had to do the roof work on, and they were going to bolt it insulation too to put back in those. So those materials.
Have they expressed a preference for which direction they want to go?
They're good with this being a state historic site. They think that's a win for everybody because it cuts our costs, gets it on the state historic list as a site, puts it in the budget for the legislature to vote money in to help keep it going, and continues to move it forward as a historic home.
So it's really, it appears to me we're coming down to 2 options. If we go through the state grant route, or excuse me, the donation or sale route to the state, is donate and we lose the equity we have in it of $250,000, but it gets it to the state sooner for them to take responsibility for it after the donation occurs, or we sell it to them and for the 5 years we continue to do what we're doing now and have these issues of repair and maintain and risk of
Probably
something.
those 3 years you're going to spend
Risk of
everything
bigger.
you're going to get on fair market value trying to fix it up.
keeping it upright. Thank you. Can you make it 2 years in one day?
Well, that's the difference between the 2 and the 5, so that's got the well, done that roof
It's been several.
replacement. This is about the same area. I can't walk.
And you gave 250,000
It was, and yeah, and fair market value is going to consider condition of the house too. So
at the little cabin, would bring several interested buyers in, I
I'm
think.
sure it would. There's logs there that could be sold. There's historic furniture in the house that belongs to the city. So
I'd just like to see us be able to recoup some of the money that we have put into the house. And now, it was a great idea, I guess, at first we were going to have events and, make it available for photography sessions and all of that, but they haven't been able to do anything with it. And I guess what we need to consider then is going ahead and approving this $12,000 match while we are waiting on, or while we're trying to decide, do we want to, 3 options, give it to the state, sell it to the state, or sell it outright. Yeah. I mean, I think those are the 3 options, really. Is that what
Or-
you think?
there's a 4th one. Keep it and put a bunch of money in it.
Like she said, there's 3 options.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, 4th's off. We're down to 3.
I don't want to put any more money in it. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead then, and we'll make a motion to approve the match for the $12,000, up to $12,000 if they were to be awarded this grant for the White Plains House. I will make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and that'll just leave considering those other options. And now if he feels like he hasn't told us enough, we come to Mr. Morrison again for his report.
I want to thank all of our staff for all their hard work throughout the weather, keeping roads clean, sidewalks clean, folks safe, answering the fire calls and medical calls. All of our staff worked really hard throughout the winter storm. We were very lucky. We did have some water leaks and things, but I want to thank them for all their hard work and dedication and all that our staff did to keep everybody safe and operational. So thank you all. Department heads, do you have anything?
So for the month of January, we responded to about 41 fire and medical calls. These are structure fires, vehicle fires, motor vehicle accidents. I also want to kind of make a point that in addition to free smoke alarms, the state has went ahead and made carbon monoxide detectors available as well. So if anybody is interested in getting a carbon monoxide detector, they can call the fire department non-emergency number. It's 931-303-1743.
For Public Works, for the month of January, we did 354 work orders. And whenever it did snow, we approximately did around 60 tons of salt was applied to clear the snow and maintain place driving conditions. Right now, it will, result in temporary delays and road closures, but we appreciate the public's patience during this time, and we ask everyone to remain alert and watch for workers in active construction sites. And also, with the salt and snow comes potholes. So we just replenished our cold mix, and we have been doing pothole repairs here lately, but some we do miss. So if the public happens to find one or know where one's at that's inside city limits, just call City Hall and we'll have a work order made and we'll get it repaired.
Police department stayed fairly active. We had 23 general information reports, 23 investigations, 12 traffic accidents, 1 with injury, 137 property checks, 8 welfare checks, 25 suspicious vehicles, 12 burglary alarms, 1 obstruction in the roadway, 1 vandalism, 1 burglary of a business. Had 126 traffic stops with 43 citations. Total activity of 494 calls.
That's it. Thank you.
Now it's time that we address our citizens. If there are any citizen questions or anything that you'd like to know, we just ask that you come up to the podium, identify yourself, and we'll try to get your question answered. Hi, Miss Bilbrey.
Hello, my name is Linda Bilbrey. I live on Mirandy Road, and I want to thank Walt. There was a pothole just before you got to the White Plains School, and I hit it the other day and thought I had knocked every tire I owned out from under my vehicle. And the next day I went through, it was already fixed. So thank you for being so quick on fixing that.
Thank you. That's why we say it's all good and all good, right? Any other questions or comments? Okay. Anything from the council? All right. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting is March the 10th. Thank you, Mr. Bilbrey. I'll be happy to second that motion. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll kill you. No. Thank you. We're adjourned.